Okay. There we go. I've already seen a bunch of folks popping in here already. So I think we're going to just go ahead and turn on slow mode at this point, just so we can try and keep up with what's going on here. So there we go. All right. We're going to dive in here, folks, to the 2024 Artificer. We did get an Unearthed Arcana about this, which was pretty crazy to see. So we're going to go ahead and see what we're looking at. What's going on? Is it good? Is it bad? How much has been updated? And then speculate a little bit about where we think things are going to go. Let's see. There's a handful of conversations, right? If it's playtest material from Unearthed Arcana, does that mean there's something else from that world coming soon? That is something I'm speculating about, right? It's typically Eberron, right, is where the Artificer was originated. We don't know anything about that. All we know about source books with the potential for new player-related stuff that's arriving is the Forgotten Realms campaign guide coming at the end of 2025, which, again, Artificer, not traditionally Forgotten Realms, doesn't mean it can't be in that book, but it would be an odd choice. Thanks, Douglas. Thanks, everybody. Yes, things are going well. I did want to address, who is it? Joshua Hill, right? Joshua, you said, and this is a good question, and I'm looking for insight on it too. You had asked about my Necromancer class from Legendary Undead. So I found out only relatively recently that basically Jetpack 7 is not, I'm not going to say gone, but disbanding or in the process of possibly getting out of content creation entirely. Without diving into the specifics too much, that team was more or less a two-person team, and it seems like that two-person team is no longer a two-person team. And I had spoke to one of that two-person team recently, and they're like, I'm not involved in any of that stuff anymore. So I have to reach out, and I haven't heard a word from anybody on that team about anything that I've done. Because, like, I have the stuff, like, as far as I know, they don't even have my Necromancer class at all. Like, we talked about it, and I worked on some stuff for it, but I don't think I ever handed that off to them. But they haven't asked. Like, I had done some work, and some of that stuff got provided to them, but it's just been nothing from them on my, like, to me. So I'm going to reach out to them, you know, soon, in the next week or so, and say, like, hey, what's going on with this? Where do we stand on this? You know, like, I have this thing that's supposed to be part of the book. What's going on with that? And that's kind of where we're at. So unfortunately, I don't have any more information on that at the moment, but I haven't heard anything. Usually when I do these kind of projects, I send everybody, they say, hey, can you send us the thing that we asked you to work on? I send them the thing, and then they come back if they have revisions or like, hey, we think we got to tweak XYZ. And I say, okay, we can make these adjustments, and then it goes off to print, and then, like, my hands are clean, it's done its thing. But it's just been zero communication on my end. So, anyway. All right. Let us dive in. So for those of you who don't know or haven't been able to find it, if you head over to D&D Beyond, you can go to Sources, Unearthed Arcana, and it'll take you to this page, and you'll see right here the Artificer. And you can go ahead and click this. We're also going to watch the video at some point towards the end of the live stream here, because this does have an associated video with it, as you can see here. And we're going to take a look and see what that's about. It says it's got 4 revised subclasses here: Alchemist, Armor, Artillerist, and Battlesmith. Those are the 4 that we've had for the Artificer thus far. Unfortunately, we are not getting any new subclasses, which is kind of a bummer, but 4 subclasses was the MO for the 2024 Player's Handbook. So it kind of, in this sense, it makes sense, although several of us, I'm sure, would love to see a new subclass, as the Artificer very much does still kind of feel like an afterthought in the world of D&D. They did wait until after the PHB. I know it's funny. It feels like, especially because it's this soon. Like the PHB's only been out for 4 months, and we're getting the Unearthed Arcana for the Artificer. I don't know why they just didn't include it in that book. It's fine. Maybe they'll give us some insight in that video. Um, with classes coming to D&D Beyond like Illrigger and various Lord of the Rings one, do you think a homebrew class feature will be added? Yes, Ryan, I think at some point, but I think that's very, very far off. I think they're kind of focusing more on this kind of like white glove service of, hey, your stuff has proven popular in the community, right? I imagine the pugilist will be very shortcoming, not too far away from that. But I imagine that we're going to get like things that are popular in the community that they can do the ingestion for. The problem is if you can just put out homebrew stuff, is there a means to sell it or how that's going to work? And I don't know how much like jank that can do to the code of D&D Beyond if they give you full-blown access to everything behind the scenes, which is why I think we're just getting it very slowly piecemeal. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we've got. Okay. So, a revised Artificer is the star of the Artificer is the star of the show. Artificer, however you pronounce it. A new spell and collection of magic items enhance the options available to the Artificer. Okay, so a new spell in here as well. Okay, this is playtest material. Okay, it is still using intelligence as its primary ability. It is still a D8 hit die. It starts with Constitution and Intelligence saving throws. 2 skill proficiencies from the list you see here. Proficiency in simple weapons. Tool proficiencies of thieves' tools, tinker tools, and 1 artisan tool of your choice. Light, medium armor, and shields. Okay, so most of that is pretty much the same as what we had before. Okay, now it says designer note. Let's read these. Here are the main updates in the class since its appearance in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Magical tinkering now allows the Artificer to craft low-cost items quickly. Spellcasting now allows the Artificer to change 1 cantrip after each long rest. Not like a huge deal. Infuse item has been redesigned and renamed to replicate magic item, which is basically what it always was for a lot of people. The feature allows the Artificer to replicate any magic item of a qualifying rarity and item type. Magical item tinker replaces tool expertise and lets you turn a magic item into a spell slot. Could be interesting. A flash of genius is now used in response to an ability check or a saving throw. It's a nice little quality of life there. Spell storing item has been changed to include level 3 Artificer spells. And Soul of Artifice no longer requires a reaction to cheat death, and it restores you to 20 hit points instead of 1. The feature's other benefits now enhance ability checks. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. So magical tinkering at level 1. As a magic action, while holding Tinker's tools, you can create 1 item in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of yourself, choosing the item from the following list. And you can see here there are a variety of different non-magical items, things like ball bearings, rope, and so on. Okay, so you're able to make some mundane adventuring gear. See the rules for the player's handbook. The item vanishes after 1 hour. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier and get all uses back when you finish a long rest. I guess that's fine, but why does it disappear? I guess it's because it's magical tinkering, right? You're creating a temporary version of this. Also, if it disappears after an hour, why limit it to intelligence modifier times per long rest? I feel like this could just be an unlimited thing that artificers just have. Now, I'm sure some of you will sit here and tell me, well, if it's unlimited, Ted, then they can do this crazy thing where they make I guess maybe I'm talking myself out of it now. But like, I guess in theory, if it was unlimited, you could just make as much oil as you wanted, and you could Baldur's Gate 3 Barrelmancer your way through anything by just making a giant firebomb. And the benefit of that is it would blow up everything, and then all the oil would disappear after an hour, so you would have no, no evidence that any of that happened. I don't know. Having it be a 1 hour duration is odd. So I guess it rubs me the wrong way in some instances, especially if you're gonna limit the number of times you can do it. Why not make it like a permanent thing? I guess again, if you wanted to just continue through the day to just make like 5 instances of oil every single day to just have this massive amount of oil for whatever reason. And that's just one example that I'm using. But ultimately, at some point, these basically just become a non-issue in your campaign. It's just kind of like, oh, I have enough money to buy these things. Why wouldn't I have XYZ of these things just in my inventory? So, it's nice to have the ability to create kind of mundane little fun things as an artificer. You're crafting, you're creating. That's fine. I like that. I just don't feel like this is it. This doesn't feel like the move to me. Whether it's the duration limitation that's the problem, whether it's the limited usage of it, again, somebody's going to find a way to break the game by if this was unlimited, I guess, but I don't know. No infinite money glitch. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, right? In theory, that was always, if you had certain ways to generate stuff that you could sell, in theory, there's an infinite money glitch, right? Like, so let's say, I don't know, let's say rope is 10 gold to buy, 5 gold to sell back. If you could make an infinite amount of rope, you could in theory sell an infinite amount of rope and then just have unlimited gold resources that way. Now, granted, thinking about it realistically, probably at some point you're going to saturate the market with rope and no one's going to need rope anymore. But either way, oh, I created a bedroll that lasts 1 hour. Yeah, what's the benefit of a bedroll? Like, I guess if you need a quick short rest, you can make a 1 hour bedroll and then lay down and take your short rest. Did they nerf this so DMs don't bitch about how much they hate the item dispenser class? Well, this isn't even really. I mean, maybe. It's sad that in all these years they never made a proper intelligence-based half-caster between Arcane Trickster and Eldritch Knight. Agree with that too. Yeah, I think something like there can only be 1, 2, or 3 items created at a time. That might be maybe 24 hours instead of an hour. I mean, yeah, possibly. I think the option of there can only be, so many items created at a time, that might be the limitation. That might be what it is. Huh. Okay, think about this. What do we think if we made the duration permanent, but you could only have a number of items created equal to your intelligence modifier at one time? So you could make 5 vials of oil, but if your intelligence modifier is a 20, and then if you destroy a vial of oil, then you could have 1 free thing to do. That might be the way to go about it, so that you can't just have the infinite money glitch. You can't just keep doing this. You can only have so many of these things in existence at a given time. But there's no reason they should magically disappear after a little while, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's literally how infusions worked. Reminder to also fill out. Yeah, once the survey becomes an option, we'll get back on track about filling out surveys and doing survey videos. So we'll do one of those when that becomes the case. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's other things that can do this better too, right? So we got stuck for this long on the first feature. Let's keep going. All right, spell casting. Tools required. You have to produce your Artificer spells through tools. Use thieves tools, tinker tools, or any kind of artisan tools, whatever. Okay. Magic. Here's our class table. We are still limited to only up to 5th level slots. We do have cantrips, spells prepared, plans known, which we'll have to look into what that is, and then magic items. Here's the list of how that works. Okay. You can change, when you're finishing a long rest, you can change your list of prepared spells, replacing any of the spells with other Artificer spells. Okay, so you can change out your entire Artificer spell list on a long rest, and it looks like they said you can change out 1 cantrip on a long rest. All right, level 2, replicate magic item. Oh, here we go. Plans known. When you gain this feature, choose 4 plans to learn from the Magic Item Plans Artificer Level 2 Plus table. See the Dungeon Master Guide for the item's description. Bag of Holding, Cap of Water Breathing, Sending Stones, and Wand of War Mage +1 are recommended. Whenever you gain an Artificer level, you can replace one of the plans you know with any new plan for which you qualify. You learn another plan of your choice when you reach certain Artificer levels as shown in the table. Okay, so we learn start with 4 at level 2 and get up to a maximum of 8 plans. So we can only get a maximum of 8 magic items from the sounds of this that we can create from this. Creating an item. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create 1 or 2 different magic items if you have Tinker tools in hand. Each item is based on one of the plans you know for this feature. If a created item requires attunement, you can attune yourself to the instant you create it. That's a nice little quality of life. If you decide to attune to the item later, you must follow the normal attunement process. When you reach certain levels in the Artificer columns specified in the table, the number of magic items you create at the end of a long rest increases. Each item you create must be based on a different plan you know. If you try to exceed your maximum number, the oldest one vanishes. Okay, so at level 2, you can only create 2 magic items over the course of a long rest. All the way up at level 18, though, you know how to make a total of 8. You could create 6 on a singular long rest. Uh-oh. Duration. I don't know if we're going to like this, folks. A magic item created by this feature functions exactly like the normal magic item, except it isn't permanent. When you, okay, wait. Okay, it's only gone if you die. Never mind. Okay, not a bad thing. I got very nervous that it was going to be a D4 days and then this magic item disappears because we had this 1 hour duration for mundane stuff. No. When you die, it vanishes after a D4 days. An item that you created with this feature, such as like a container, such as the bag of holding, it vanishes. Its contents appear harmlessly on the ground. Okay. I don't love that it's not a truly permanent magic item, but in an ideal world, what do you care if your character's dead? Right? So, but that's fine. I don't mind that. It's fine. Let's look at the table. Okay. Here is our table of magic item plans. So, we got, for our level 2 Artificer, Alchemy Jug, Cap of Water Breathing, Bag of Holding, common magic item that isn't a potion, a scroll, or cursed, I guess. That's in there for level 2. Goggles of Night, Rope of Climbing, Sending Stones, Shield +1, Wand of Magic Detection, Wand of Secrets, Wand of the War Mage +1, Weapon +1. Okay, that's a pretty decent list for level 2, right? You could be sitting at a +1 shield, a +1 weapon, a +1 wand. There's some good stuff there. And again, 4 plans at level 2. So that's pretty solid. You could build yourself out a decent little magic item kit at level 2. So I like that. All right. Level 6 plus, we jump up. Now, it's not tied necessarily to specific rarities. There are some ways to get around that, but it does have a codified list. So when you hit level 6, you can get the following items you can learn plans for these. Armor +1, which is great, especially because you already have the shield +1. Boots of Elvenkind, Cloak of Elvenkind, Cloak of the Manta Ray, Eyes of Charming, Gloves of Thievery, Lantern of Revealing, Pipes of Haunting. Then it also says any uncommon armor, wand, or weapon that isn't cursed. So, okay. So basically at level 6, we can pick any uncommon wand, weapon, or armor, as well as having access to the +1 armor if we need it. So I like what I'm seeing here. That's pretty good. And a reminder, again, at level 6, you're going to have 5 total plans, and you can change out your plans whenever you gain a level. So, and again, you can create so many. When you finish a long rest, you can create a certain number of these magic items, which is this column here, at the end of a long rest. And if they're attunement, you can immediately attune to those without having to wait and use the normal attunement process. All right, magic item plans level 10. Any uncommon ring or wondrous item that isn't cursed. Okay. No, that's it. Nothing specific. And then at level 14, any rare armor, ring, wand, weapon, or wondrous item. Okay, so you're not going to go too crazy beyond rare things even at level 14, but it gives you a nice little selection of things that kind of break the norm here by, like, normally it's just uncommon stuff at level 6. You wouldn't normally be able to grab +1 armor to level 14 because that's when the first rare armor pops on the board, but you are able to build that at level 6 because it's part of the given list. So I do like this. I like this adjustment. I like these changes. It's relatively streamlined, and you can make 8 of these items, which means you don't necessarily have to keep them for yourself. You can also dole them out to the party as you see fit. Let's see. Level 3 is your subclass. Level 3, you also get right tool for the job. The list of items that you can create with magical tinkering now includes artisan's tools. So magical tinkering, again, this feature here from level 1 where you can make something that only apparently has an hour-long duration can now make any artisan tools. So, ability score improvements are the same as usual. Level 6, we get magic item tinker. Your replicate magic item feature improves as follows. Drain magic item. As a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with the replicate magic item, and cause that item to vanish, converting its magical energy into a spell slot. The slot is level 1 if it is a common item, or level 2 if it is uncommon or rare. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Any spell slot you create with this feature vanishes when you finish a long rest. So, I don't know how often this would get used because I feel like the presence of a static magic item is probably more powerful. But if you're ever in a really, truly difficult bind and need that extra first or second level spell slot, you can consume a magic item that you've created from Replicate to get a slot back once per long rest. Or expanded replication. When you learn a plan from your Replicate magic item feature, you can now also choose from the magic item plans level 6+. Okay, it's just they just added it in here, even though it says that it kind of has it in the other table. It just is spelling it out. Okay. Let's see. I suppose a homunculus. I don't like that it appears for people to D&D Beyond to have full compatibility list. Okay, we're moving on. Flash of Genius at level 7. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you fails an ability check or saving throw, you can use your reaction to add a bonus to the roll, potentially causing it to succeed. The bonus equals your intelligence modifier. You can use the ability here, intelligence modifier times per long rest. Again, giving it the ability to help a failed skill check and saving throw is a nice little quality of life, so I do appreciate that. Then we get magic item adept here at level 10, which looks to be the same. You can attune up to 4 magic items rather than 3. And again, your replication now bumps up to the level 10 plus list, adding more options there. Okay. Level 11, spell storing item. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one simple or martial weapon or one item that you can use as a spellcasting focus and store a spell in it of choosing level 1, 2, or 3 Artificer spell that has a casting time of an action. I believe they said this expansion now includes level 3 Artificer spells, which it did not previously. While holding the object, a creature can take an action to produce the spell's effect from it using your spellcasting ability modifier. If the spell requires concentration, the creature must concentrate on it. The spell stays in the object until it has been used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier, or until you use this feature again to store a spell in an object. So that's pretty solid. So potentially up to a level 3 spell stored in a simple or martial weapon or something as a spellcasting focus. So this obviously, I think probably one of the go-to examples would probably be to give somebody who doesn't have healing access to healing. So let's say you have a 3rd level cure wounds and you put it in the fighter's sword, right? Now they have access to twice your intelligence modifier times usage of cure wounds, which they obviously would not have before. It does use your spellcasting ability modifier, which is nice. If the spell you provide to them is concentration, they'll have to be the one concentrating on it, but that's fine. You also don't need to have the spell prepared, and it doesn't look like you actually have to expend the slot to infuse it, right? You can use a spellcasting focus, store a spell in it, choosing a 1st level, 2nd level, or 3rd level Artificer spell that has a casting time of an action. Yeah, so you don't actually have to cast the spell to infuse the item. And you don't need to have that spell prepared either. Yeah, it stays in the object until it's been used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier, or until you use this feature again. So you could just give it to somebody, and until they use it, they're just kind of hanging on to it. So if you happen, again, to have a 20 intelligence, you're going to be giving somebody whatever the item that you're storing the spell into 10 uses of that spell. And it doesn't change on a short or long rest. It's just when those uses are expended, then it's no longer there. Obviously, if you choose to re-up this, you could re-up it or cast it to somebody else, or re-infuse some sort of spell storing item for someone else. That's fine too. You could also just do it, use the spell storing item on yourself to essentially give yourself access to a spell that doesn't use a spell slot to cast. So obviously you'd want to go third because it's the highest level. Give yourself access to potentially, again, 10 uses of a spell that don't require you to spend spell slots, as well as, you could just have use a different prepared spell for that. So that's a pretty powerful ability too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could give the Barbarian a great sword of fireballs. That is definitely an option for you. Well, like I said, let's say you had Fireball as an Artificer. I don't know if they do or not. We'll have to see. But if you had Fireball as an Artificer and you're like, I really need to prepare a different spell. I wish I didn't have to prepare Fireball every day. You could spell storing item something for you with 10 Fireballs for yourself, and then prepare a different other more potentially useful like roleplay or espionage or whatever kind of spell separately, but still have access to the 10 fireballs, again, that don't use a spell slot, which is wild. But it does say it has to have a casting time of an action. So you can't use any reaction spells, right? You can't give out, chat's already caught on, we can't give everybody shield, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, level 14, we get Magic Item Savant. This bumps up our attunement slots to a total of 5 attunement slots and gains us access to the last expanded replication section. Level 18, we get Magic Item Master. You can now attune to up to 6 magic items as opposed to 3. You get your Epic Boon at level 19, and then at level 20, you get Soul of Artifice, which is if you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can disintegrate 1 uncommon or rare magic item that you used using the replicate magic item feature, changing your hit points to 20 instead of 0. That's odd to just pick 20 as a static number, but okay. And then magical guidance, while you have attunement to at least 1 magic item, you can add a d6 to any ability check you make. You decide to add the ability after rolling the d20, but before, that's dumb. This level 20 ability sucks. It's so bad. It's not Ranger bad, but it's bad. The existing one was way better, with attune to 6 magic items and get like a bonus to all your saving throws equal to the number of magic items you're attuned to. That's better. This sucks. There are classes that have better features that do cheat death. There's at least 3 I can think of that have like a cheat death style mechanic that doesn't require you to disintegrate a magic item, and they give you more hit points. Like, there's the Warlock subclass can do it. The Paladin Oath of the Ancients can do it. I really don't know what they were thinking with this cheat death feature. Let me just go look. So Oath of the Ancients Paladin, I'm pretty sure it's a level 15 ability. Let's see exactly what it's called here, and I'll tell you in a second. Oath of the Ancients. It's called Undying Sentinel. When you're reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, you drop to 1 hit point and regain a number of hit points equal to 3 times your Paladin level. Now, granted, that was once per long rest, so technically cheat death is unlimited as long as you have magic items to disintegrate. But Undying Sentinel at level, you're getting 45 hit points when you access this feature at level 15. You'd be sitting at 60 hit points as a level 20 Artificer because it gives you 3 times your class level. And I'm pretty sure there may be some that even do more than that. So that is just unfortunate. Like I said, it is technically only limited by the number of magic items you've made, which would be at this point 8. But now you're disintegrating a constant effect that somebody else has to drop yourself to 20 hit points instead of 0. Whereas they could have just made it not tied to the items at all. I'm getting they're trying to go for this concept of siphoning of magic. You're getting magic from something to power yourself. And I do like the power fantasy of absorbing a magic item But it probably would have been more interesting did we not live in a world post BG3 where Gale exists and everybody hates the concept of people eating magic items to boost themselves. But either way. And magical guidance is while you have attunement to a magic item, you can add a d6 to an ability check you make. That's it. An ability check, too. Not attack rolls, not saving throws. At the very least, you could have made it, if you have attunement to a magic item, you add a d6 to any d20 test you make. At least give it to us for attack rolls and saving throws. And why even bother having it tied to attunement to a magic item? Why not just give you this automatically? Or if you're going to tie it to a magic item, do something like the original level 20 feature did. Based on the number of items you're attuned to, it does XYZ. Now, if it was a D6 per magic item you're attuned to, potentially allowing you to drop 6d6 to swing a roll one way or another, that could be pretty interesting. It seems a little absurd just to not just do a static number, but either way. Let's see what you all have to say. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant there. 20 is equal to the Artificer level. I do understand that, but all the other classes that have these kind of features have more than that. Double, triple, even 5 times in some instances. It's an upgrade, I guess, but I wish their fusions were more flexible. Wouldn't that be a level 3 Warlock dip for an art? I'm familiar. Yeah. Well, there's no reason to have equal to your Artificer level when it's given at 20. I agree with that, but it could be 2 times your Artificer level, 3 times your Artificer level, even 5 times your Artificer level. Well, you can't use it 5 times per fight. At this point, you could use it 8 times per fight if you needed to, but then you're going to have to take a long rest to be able to craft only 6 more magic items at a time to then get more access to using Cheat Death. Honestly, I feel like you probably would be better off to just take like a periaptive wound closure as one of your magic items that you can replicate, and then it's not as good as Cheat Death, but it's pretty good. Yeah. No, and again, I think the side, like the concept, like I said, of this power fantasy is you eating and absorbing magic items to gain power, which does mean you do have more access to Cheat Death than a lot of the other classes who usually have an ability to just use it once per long rest. But I don't know. Let's see. What else are you guys saying? The moment I joined, he said it isn't Ranger bad, but it's bad. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't see expertise anywhere in there, which is kind of odd. I thought that was supposed to be one of the functions of this, that they got kind of expertise in skills, and I didn't see that anywhere. They cover the attuned to 6 items versus UA capstone in the video. All right, well, we'll watch the video and we'll give it a fair shake. But so far, I'm mixed on the updates. I don't love magical tinkering. The limitation of 1 hour is bizarre. I think replicate magic items is fine. I think I like the way they did it. I like the making multiple items. I like the knowing the plans, the auto attunement if you'd like to have it. I think that one is solid. Right tool for the job is kind of throwaway, so whatever. Drain magic item. Again, probably limited amount of times you're going to want to do this, but drain magic item being able to be a last-ditch effort to pull in some spell slots, especially if you need some like healing or something, is fine. Flash of Genius got general improvements by allowing it to be ability check and saving throw. We like that. Magical item adept is basically the same. Spell storing item, I think, is a little bit stronger than it was previously, so I like that. Magic item savant, again, similar. Magic item master at 18. It was nice to see them bump up the attuning to 6 magic items to 18, but I don't think the level 20 ability here really has a level 20 feel to it. Especially when Arcana is the magic item crafting. Yeah, not having expertise somewhere in here. Now, maybe it's in subclasses. I don't know. But, okay. Let's look at the Artificer spell list. Please note, the Artificer spell list now includes the following: Elementalism, True Strike, Arcane Vigor, Dragon's Breath, Homunculus Servant, and Circle of Power. Okay. Well, honestly, giving them Arcane Vigor is solid. That's a nice self heal for you, which is always good. And it's a D8, as opposed to like the Wizard and Sorcerer only having D6s. Uh, so we do still have access to Cure Wounds. We do not have Healing Word as an option here. We also have almost any AoE or damaging spells at all at level 1. It's all utility. At level 2, we at least have Dragon's Breath, which is, an offensive one, as well as Heat Metal. Okay. Level 3. You got Glyph of Warding for damage, I guess. We do have Revivify as well. Level 4. Get the summon spells, I guess. Summon a construct. And then we have Animate Objects, Bigby's Hand, Circle of Power, Creation, Greater Restoration, and Wall of Stone for level 5 features. So no Raise Dead or anything there. Okay, first up here is the Alchemist, notoriously one of the worst subclasses for the Artificer. Design note, Alchemist spells has replaced Blight with Vitriolic Sphere. Tool proficiency now allows the Artificer to craft potions faster. That could be useful. Experimental Elixir now produces more elixirs. The healing elixir is increased, and the 6th row of the table now lets you choose an elixir effect. Sword of Reagents has been changed to connect the temporary hit points to your level. And Chemical Mastery has been redesigned. It now includes extra damage, resistance, and the ability to cast Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron. Okay. That's not bad. I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee. I'm not getting up. I'm just going to keep vamping to you guys and reading through your comments while I make this cup of coffee off to the side here. Because I'm feeling a little sluggish right now. And I want to be my best self. I'm also starving. So I may order myself some food here, and then at one point have to take a break when I go pick up the food once the food arrives. But get that coffee going off to the side, and I'm going to place that food order. But I'm going to read what you guys are saying while we look through this. I would have given them a feature that lets them pick between an expertise and a skill or a weapon mastery. I'm hoping Battlesmith gets like weapon mastery or something like that. I also like the idea of getting having things like that, right? Having access to a weapon mastery outside of just having the feat. I love that you have a coffee maker in your office. Listen, guys, if you don't know this about me, there's a reason coffee is my patron, is merch that I put on my store. Also, I'm sorry if you guys can hear the coffee maker. I apologize. While I talk, you probably are just gonna hear that in the background while we're going through this. But yeah, I coffee sustains me. That's really caffeine is what keeps me going. My blood is 90% caffeine and coffee at the moment, so I need that to just keep me going. So your guys' comments, the love of my children and my wife, and coffee is basically all I sustain my life on. So that'll be NVIDIA doing its work, NVIDIA broadcast, putting in work over here. What do I want for... Ooh, is there a... Hold on. Oh, son of a bitch. Sorry, I got very excited because I saw a really good looking dumpling place and then realized that I still had my DoorDash or my Grubhub sent to Philadelphia when I was at PAX, and that's very unfortunate because all of those options are no longer available to me. Let's see. I'm really confused about the direction of the Artificer that WotC is going here. I literally don't understand what they're doing. My goal, or I think their goal, Douglas, is to try and bring the Artificer in line power-wise with 2024 Dungeons and Dragons, which I think we can all agree, and I think you'd be foolish to say otherwise, that 2024 Dungeons and Dragons you can't call it power creep because we don't know what the monsters look like, so we can't... it is power creep at the moment because all of the players are significantly stronger than any of the creatures that we have, but we also don't know the landscape entirely because we don't have all of the monsters to do a comparison on. But everybody got a power shift in the upwards direction or a lateral direction, unless you're the ranger. You kind of stayed the same or got a little bit worse. So the goal, I believe, is to bring the Artificer more in line power-wise with the other 2024 classes. That's what I believe. I do also agree, based on what I've seen so far, it does feel a little bit weak for that adjustment. But it is a playtest, so consider that as well. But yeah, again, it is a playtest. That's something I will continue to say. So the goal of any playtest is to play it. If you get an opportunity to give this a try in a game, try it out, so that way when you go to fill out the survey, you can provide legitimate feedback. So I try to do this. I just don't have as much time as I like. I am running a game on Wednesday, so maybe I'll supplant a 2024 Artificer in there as like a monster or as an NPC for the party to work with, so I can try to get a handle on playing this. Because obviously everybody, they want to hear your feedback, but the best feedback is going to be from somebody who actually played the class to get a feeling of, does this actually work, yes or no? So, yeah. They were giving the magic item adept and magic savant features back. I think it would be a great class with the new rules. Yeah. Bring it in line and future-proof the Artificer with it just being make magic items of X rarity. You aren't confined to a set list. Yeah, there's a couple of options to go above and beyond, but it's not... the benefit, as you're saying, too, is with some of the replicate magic item things, like where it says uncommon ring or wondrous item that isn't cursed, rare armor, ring, wand, or weapon or wondrous item that isn't cursed. It does, as you mentioned, future-proof it, that you can use this for if new magic items come out in the future, you now have future proofing for that because you're designed to work with that. You know what I mean? It's like if they release a new uncommon magic item in a new book next year, you could craft it. You don't have to be like, oh, it's not on the list, so I'm screwed, or try to work with your DM to specifically add it in. That gives you a little bit of leniency when you're going forward on some of this stuff. Also be open-minded about the changes, because if you say not like 2014, then we get things like no beast stat blocks for wild shape. Yeah, and all the stuff that happened to the ranger. Yes. Yes. Griffin's Saddlebag, I saw that. People did mention, again, Griffin's Saddlebag Book 2 is out. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't really seem like a lot of that stuff was updated. From a quick glance, I started reading through some of the magic items, and I noticed like one of the magic items, one of its key features is that it lets you drink a potion as a bonus action. And as we know, in 2024, potions are a bonus action. Now, it has more functionality than just that, but why would you call out the fact that it lets you drink the potion as a bonus action? Because that's not a unique feature of it. That's a function of 2024. So I don't know how updated some of those things are to fall in line with 2024, for example. But anyway, let's get into the subclass. So first up is the Alchemist. You gain proficiency with alchemy supplies. If you already have this proficiency, you gain proficiency with an artisan's tools of your choice. In addition, you can brew a potion using the crafting rules with the Dungeon Master's Guide. The amount of time required to craft it is halved. Okay. Let me remind myself the timing for brewing a potion. Let's go and look at that real quick. So we can just get an idea of how useful that is. So crafting magic items. I thought brewing potions was in the player's handbook, but okay. So it says magic item crafting time and cost. Here is the time and the cost. And it says it's halved for consumables. So if you're going to craft an uncommon healing potion, let's say, or uncommon potion, it would normally take 10 days. But because the potion is consumable, it would only be done in 5 days. And then this would also cut that in half to 2.5 days. So whatever you see here for crafting for magical potions, this time is cut in half because they're consumable. And then the Alchemist cuts that time in half even further. So 2.5 days to make like a greater healing potion, not bad, right? Okay. They also get Artificer spells that are always prepared. Healing Word, Ray of Sickness, Oh, they get double, two of each. All right, I think that's how it always was, but let's keep reading. Healing Word, Ray of Sickness, Flaming Sphere, Melf's Acid Arrow, Gaseous Form, Mass Healing Word, Death Ward, Vitriolic Sphere, Cloud Kill, and Raise Dead. Okay, so this is a decent amount of healing, right? We're getting access to Healing Word and Mass Healing Word, so good bonus action utility healing. We get things like Death Ward. We also get some damage because, again, as we looked through the Artificer base spell list, it is almost entirely utility with almost no damage at all. Again, we do have some damage here in the form of Dragon's Breath and something like Heat Metal, a little bit of passive stuff with like Magic Weapon being able to give somebody a +1 to their damage. Same thing with Elemental Weapon being a +D4 to damage. But a lot of the stuff we don't have like a big hit AoE or anything. Like Bigby's Hand and Animate Objects can do damage, but for the most part, we don't have a lot in the way of damaging spells in the base Artificer. So to see things like Melf's Acid Arrow, Flaming Sphere, Vitriolic Sphere, and so on, Cloud Kill in the Alchemist is good because that gave them some damage. It also is going to make, potentially when we look at the other subclasses, them very feel very unique in that most of the damaging abilities of this class is going to come from the subclass. And again, yes, plus Bastion, even better. I agree for the crafting of magic items. All right, Experimental Elixir at level 3. Let's see how we do here now. Whenever you finish a long rest while holding Alchemist supplies, you can use that tool to magically produce 2 elixirs. For each elixir, roll on the experimental elixir table for the elixir's effect, which is triggered when someone drinks the elixir. The elixir appears in a vial. The vial vanishes when the elixir is drunk or poured out. If any elixir remains when you finish a long rest, the elixir and the vial vanish. Okay, so they disappear. They only last until the long rest. Drinking an elixir. As a bonus action, a creature can drink the elixir or administer to another creature within 5 feet. Creating additional elixirs as a magic item while holding Alchemist supplies, you can expend 1 spell slot to create another elixir. When you do so, you choose its effect from the experimental elixir table rather than rolling. When you create certain reach certain artificer levels, you can create an additional elixir at the end of each long rest for a total of 3 at 5, 4 at 9, and 5 at 15. Okay, so one of the things I think a lot of people didn't like about the experimental elixir feature is the fact that you had to roll because you don't know what you're going to get. And unfortunately, you don't know until, let's see. Okay. It's triggered when someone drinks the elixir. That's the problem, I think. So I could be like, hey, take this elixir. Hopefully it'll help. And like, what if you're like an Aarakocra and you can fly already? And you're like, let me drink it. I'm really hurting. It sure would be great if this heals me. And you throw it back and you roll a 5 on the D6. And it's like, cool, it gives you a fly speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. I didn't need that. I already could fly, and I could fly 6 times as fast as that, 5 times as fast as that. So I think that's one of the downsides that people don't really like about experimental elixir is the... Now, what you could do if is when you craft it, you roll. That would be better. Is when I craft the potions, I roll and I know what I have. That fixes almost all of the issue with this to some degree. Because at least I know going into the day, I have so many healing or so many swiftness or whatever. Not like, bottoms up, pal, let's see how we do. You know? It says, for each elixir, roll on the experimental table, which is triggered... Oh, I guess it is. It's triggered when someone... Okay, maybe I read that wrong, but the wording is bad. I get it. So it's saying roll on it, but the elixir's effect is triggered when they drink it. When I read it as you don't know what it is till they drink it. I'm reading it now, rereading it, and saying I think it is supposed to be when you roll. You roll when you create them. I could see it being interpreted both ways because I just did it that way. But also, I still don't like the randomness of this. And the fact that it's a D6, and when you roll a 6, you're going to just determine the elixir's effect by choosing. So why can't you just choose? Why does it have to be this experimental? Why not just let you pick what you want to make? Because you're an alchemist, right? Shouldn't you be able to choose? You're doing the thing and mixing all your bottles and whatnot. Why shouldn't you be able to just pick what you want? Is it that broken to have just a bunch of healing potions in your back pocket? I don't think so. If you really want to be the healer, right? With the Alchemist being like seemingly one of the primary healers, with the fact that they have access to things like Healing Word and Mass Healing Word and so on, why can't I just choose? All right, so let's look at what the effects are. All right, so for rolling a 1 is healing. The drinker gains a number of hit points equal to 2d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Okay, so that's basically the equivalency of a Cure Wounds spell, right? Because Cure Wounds now in 2024 is 2d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Swiftness is the drinker's speed increases for 10 feet or by 10 feet for an hour. Resilience is a +1 to AC for 10 minutes. Boldness is the drinker can add roll a d4 and add the number rolled to every attack roll and saving throw they make for the next minute. And flight is a fly speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. Flight, throw that one out. A fly speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes? I mean, at least make it equal to your walking speed. That'll make it 30 feet. You know, the fly spell is 60 feet. An increase of... So we're also just basically choosing to replicate some lower level spells in the form of elixir, right? So boldness is essentially a single target bless for the next minute that's not concentration. Resilience is like a slightly weaker version of Shield of Faith. Swiftness, I think, is what is that? Expeditious Retreat or Long Strider, right? 10 feet of movement increase. And then healing is essentially a first level Cure Wounds. And then 6 is you get to pick. I also, I wonder if you get later on, you just get to choose. Is that how that works? We'll keep looking, but okay, so it's a bonus action to drink and administer that follows traditional potion rules for 5e. And again, at 15, you're making 5 of these. If I really want to make 5 healing potions, why not just let me do that? Why does it have to be an experimental elixir? I don't know. Yeah, fly spell is concentration. I don't disagree with that. Same thing with bless, right? Bless is concentration. But I feel like a fly speed equal to your walking speed for 10 minutes is pretty reasonable to just be 10 feet. Because this is essentially, I guess the concept is this is primarily just for out of combat traversal, right? Because even if you have a 30, even if you have a 60-foot movement speed, and your fly speed's only 10 feet, you're still only moving 10 feet at a time. Let's see. Yeah, I guess mad science, thematics overpower, resilience is boring. Yeah, +1 to AC. If they want Alchemist to be this wild magic Alchemist, at least give them fun potions. Yeah, you could, if you really want to go into this mad science concept, you could almost make like a wild magic surge style experimental elixir table where things are a little bit wilder. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Move flight to a higher level and make it not suck if you must. Yeah, I agree. If they remove the alter self potion, that was the coolest one. You should be able to choose between 3 or so boring but practical options or roll in the chart for fun, crazy stuff. That's actually not a bad idea either. Like, give you some, you want to experiment? Let's give you some wild experimental options, or you can choose the safe bet. Because they do give you the option to choose, but they're making you spend a spell slot for it, right? Which is this one here. As a magic action while holding it, you can expend a spell slot to create an elixir, and if you choose to blow one of your spell slots, you can spend on this. But again, one of the more popular ones is probably going to be healing. Why should I spend a spell slot to make a drink? I guess because I could do it as a bonus action as opposed to doing Cure Wounds as an action. I guess, now that I think about it, maybe being able to bonus action Cure Wounds and action Cure Wounds with the effect of drinking and using the spell isn't a bad thing. But I kind of like the concept that some of you are saying is like, give us the option. If we're going to go experimental, let's really go experimental, but also give us some like safe options that we can always rely on. That, I think, makes a little more sense to me. All right, let's keep going. We didn't even get past level 3. Alchemical Savant. Whenever you cast a spell using your Alchemist supplies as the spellcasting focus, you gain a bonus to one roll of the spell. That roll must restore hit points or deal damage that is either acid, fire, necrotic, or poison. The bonus equals your intelligence modifier. Okay, so if we're healing, we're getting an extra intelligence modifier tacked on top of that, which is nice, or tacked onto damage. That's not bad. That's just a static extra number, potentially up to 5, right? To be able to do a cure wounds. So let's say your intelligence modifier is +5. To be able to do a cure wounds and have it be 2d8 plus 10 at level 1, it's a pretty solid cure wounds, right? I mean, you're pulling out some pretty serious healing with that. So I like that. Restorative reagents here at level 9. You can incorporate restorative reagents into some of your works, granting the following benefits. Fortify. Whenever a creature drinks an elixir you created with the experimental elixir feature, they gain temporary hit points equal to your Artificer level plus your intelligence modifier. Okay, that's good. That makes everything more useful, regardless of how potentially useless the experimental elixir could be. Choosing to just have it be, give you that much temporary hit points, that's pretty solid. Or restore. You can cast Lesser Restoration without expending a spell slot and without prepping the spell. Provided you use the Alchemist tools as a spellcasting focus, you can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. Okay, so that's just, you can just choose to get basically, intelligence modifier times per long rest access to Lesser Restoration. Also, reminder, in 2024, Lesser Restoration is a bonus action, so it gets a little bit more utility there. And everybody getting juiced up with temporary hit points whenever they drink one of your elixirs, but regardless if that's healing or otherwise, is a nice little bonus there. And again, we're talking, what are we at? Level 9 plus your intelligence modifier, so possibly by the time you have access to this, plus 14 temporary hit points. And at level 9, you can make 4 experimental elixirs, 5 if you spend a spell slot. So you could probably outfit the whole party with a nice little chunk of temporary hit points on top of whatever other benefit they might be using. So I don't mind that at all. I think that's actually pretty solid in the grand scheme of things. And then we get lastly here, Chemical Mastery at 15. When you cast an Artificer spell that deals acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, you can also deal 2d8 poison damage, 2d8 force damage, rather, to the target. You can use this benefit only once per turn. So if we're going to deal damage, which again, excuse me, we don't have a ton. So we're going to do Melf's Acid Arrow or Vitriolic Sphere. We fire it off at an enemy. We get the damage that we would normally do. We're going to add our intelligence modifier to the damage. And then we also add an additional 2d8 force damage to that target. So that could be a potentially pretty big hit. You gain resistance to acid and poison damage. I think that that's pretty reasonable as somebody constantly working with elixirs and things. And Conjured Cauldron, you can cast Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron without expending a spell slot, without preparing the spell, and without material components, provided you use Alchemist supplies as a spellcasting focus once per long rest. So again, just a way to make some additional potions. I kind of feel like one of your high level abilities should be you don't roll on the table anymore. You just pick. Feels like that would have been an option for you, that you can just choose what options you create. You've refined your elixirs to the point where they're no longer experimental and you can just choose the effect that you want. Or again, as some of you are saying, add a bigger table for experiments, have your stable options. Like, these are my stable elixirs, or if we want to go experimental, we can go for broke and see what we can pull. Yeah, Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron is a 6th level spell that you get once per long rest, which normally an Artificer would not be able to get access to, but you're also getting it what are you getting this at? 2 levels later than, 2 spell levels later, so 4 levels later than other classes would have access to this spell if they wanted it, or because you're getting this at 15 for a level 6 spell. We can go ahead and pull up Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron, because I feel like this is a spell that I just very clearly glanced over because I didn't think it was super great, but let's take a look. You conjure a 1 action, conjure a claw-footed cauldron. Okay, the liquid inside the cauldron duplicates the properties of a common or uncommon potion of your choice. As a bonus action, you or an ally can reach into the cauldron and withdraw 1 potion of that kind. The potion is contained in a vial that disappears when the potion is consumed. The cauldron can produce a number of these potions equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. With the last of these potions is withdrawn, the cauldron disappears and the spell ends. Okay, so essentially, it's giving us, I guess, potentially 5, I guess, uncommon potions of your choice. Once per long rest with this at level 15. Yeah, they should gain Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron at 11th plus push this. It makes them, yeah, I don't know. Used to be free greater restoration with no material cost once per day, but now clerics can skip that cost with divine intervention. They can, yeah. So, what do we think about the Alchemist? General perception. Yay or nay? What are we thinking? We like it? We don't like it? Maybe we'll throw a poll in the chat here. Let's see. How do we add polls again? Engage with your audience. Start a poll. Do we like the Alchemist subclass? Yes. No. This is going to be very polarizing because I'm just going to go with yes or no, but here we go. Poll is started. Do you like the Alchemist subclass? Yes or no? I realize some of you may be like, I don't really care, or meh, or maybe it's blah, 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 whatever. We're just, humor me as we discuss this poll, and we'll see how people feel about it in general. From a C to a B, that's a pretty, honestly, that's, obviously it being an A would be great, but from a C to a B is not a bad improvement, right, in the grand scheme of things. My biggest complaint about it, honestly, is the experimental elixir being experimental. I understand, and I'm recognizing the concept of the mad scientist for sure. But I think I should have the ability to. I mean, listen, I played an Alchemist Artificer in one of the OG versions of this, and the one that didn't have any of this stuff, where you basically can make a fire potion or an acid potion, and you could throw it at the enemies and it would blow up. Most of you don't remember that one because it was god awful. But I played it. I had the mechanical servant. I had like a mechanical dinosaur. Like that was a whole thing. Yeah, the 2014 Alchemist. Yeah, I played that in a campaign, and it was the 24. Not even the 2014. Let's see if we can find it here. Hang on. Let's go. UA Artificer. It's going to be all about today, though. Is this the one? So one that had the no, this isn't it. UA Artificer Gunsmith, because it was the one that had the gunsmith. This is it from 2017. Yeah, this is the one where you had your mechanical servant. You basically had like a construct. And this is what I had, where I had my alchemist satchel, where I could make a healing drink or a fireball drink or an acid drink, and you could basically throw it, and it would do, as you could see, damage, right? 3d6, 46, all the way up to 10d6 acid damage if I hit you with it. But the downside was if they saved, they took no damage. So that was a thing. So I played this back in the day. Although I did have some cool stuff going for it, but either way. So I think I'm looking at the poll right now, 62% positive on the Alchemist. So let's keep going. Let's get to the next up after the Alchemist here is the Armorer Artificer. Let's see what the notes are to this. Design note Armorer. Here are the main updates in the subclass since its appearance in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Tools of the Trade now allows the Artificer to craft armor faster. I think we're going to see a theme with that. Armor model includes a new armor option, Dreadnought. In the Guardian option, defensive field now relies on you being bloodied rather than having limited uses. Armor modifications has been replaced with a new feature called Armor Replication, and perfected armor now increases the damage of your Thunder Gauntlets and your Lightning Launchers. Okay. Tools of the trade. You gain training with heavy armor. You also gain proficiency with Smith's tools. If you already have this tool proficiency, you gain proficiency with one other type of artisan's tools of your choice. In addition, when you craft non-magical armor or magic armor, the amount of time required to craft it is halved. Okay. Similar to what we saw with the potions for the Alchemist. You also are going to get access to spells. The spells here are Magic Missile, Thunder Wave, Mirror Image, Shatter, Hypnotic Pattern, Lightning Bolt, Fire Shield, Greater Invisibility, Pass Wall, and Wall of Force. That is a solid spell list. That is very good. I very much enjoy what I'm seeing there with all of these updates here. That's good magic item, or sorry, good spell list, right? You got a lot of good damage. Thunder Wave, Shatter, Magic Missile, Lightning Bolt. Good utility, Greater Invisibility, Pass Wall, Mirror Image, Wall of Force. That's a solid spell list. This will feel drastically different than playing the Alchemist in the spell list alone. So, Arcane Armor. As a magic action, while you have your Smith's tools in hand, you can turn a suit of armor you're wearing into Arcane Armor. The armor continues to be Arcane Armor until you don another suit of armor or you die. You gain the following benefits while wearing Arcane Armor. If the armor normally has a strength requirement, it lacks that requirement for you. You can don and doff the armor as a utilize action, which is again as a singular action, which is very powerful to take armor on and off if you need to. Second Skin. The armor attaches to you and can't be removed against your will. It also expands to cover your entire body, although you can retract or deploy the helmet as a bonus action. The armor replaces missing limbs, functioning identically to a limb it replaces. You can use the Arcane Armor as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. So it basically made you Iron Man, right? You're covered entirely, except you can pull the helmet, like retract the helmet if you want to. Okay? And they can use spellcasting inside the the armor as a spellcasting focus. Okay, so that's that. Now we have armor models. You can customize your arcane armor. When you do so, choose one of the following: Dreadnought, Guardian, or Infiltrator. They give you different abilities here. Each model includes a special weapon. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your intelligence instead of strength or dexterity. You can change the armor's model whenever you finish a short or long rest if you have Smith's tools. Dreadnought. You design your armor to become a towering juggernaut in battle. It has the following features. Armor Flail. An iron ball on a chain appears on one of the end of your armor's gauntlets and has the following traits. It's a simple melee weapon. It does a d10 bludgeoning damage plus the ability modifier used for the attack roll, so strength, dex, strength or dex, or I guess in this instance potentially intelligence. And it has the reach property. Also, giant stature. As a bonus action, you can transform and enlarge your armor for 1 minute. For the duration, your reach increases by 5 feet, and if you were smaller than large, you become large. If there isn't enough room, it doesn't change. You can use this bonus action intelligence modifier times per long rest. Also, Wrecking Ball. If you hit a creature with that is at least one size smaller than you with the flail, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from you, from yourself, or pull the creature up to 10 feet towards you. So you're in this armor. You have a 1d10 plus your intelligence modifier weapon that has a reach of 10 feet. If you activate giant stature, you grow large size for a minute. Your reach increases now to 15 feet, and you can pull or push people 10 feet. As long as they're one size smaller than you with no saving throw. And you can activate this giant form here, intelligence modifier times per long rest. Then you have the Guardian armor. You have Thunder Gauntlets, which are simple melee weapons that do a d8 thunder damage plus the ability modifier. You have Distracting Pulse. A creature hit by the gauntlet has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you until the start of your next turn. And Defensive Field. When you are bloodied, you can take the bonus action to gain temporary hit points equal to your Artificer level. You lose those if you doff the armor. Now, it doesn't say you lose those temporary hit points if you go back above being bloodied. So that's just a cool thing. You hit half hit points. You get this temporary hit points as a bonus action. And again, they're basically giving them weapon mastery properties without calling them that, because you basically have the sap weapon mastery property where if you hit somebody, they have disadvantage against targets. Oh, this is disadvantage against targets other than you. Sap was just disadvantage on the next attack roll, but we're giving them weapon mastery style properties for them, which I like. Infiltrator is you get the lightning launchers. A gem-like node appears on the one of your armor's gauntlets and has the following things: is a simple range weapon, does a d6 lightning damage plus the ability modifier, has the range of 9,300. You have lightning jolt. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your lightning launcher, you can deal an extra d6 damage to it. Your movement speed increases by 5 feet, and you have advantage on stealth checks. If the armor normally imposes disadvantage, they just cancel each other out as they normally would. So you basically have your kind of tankier defense, big swing, bludgeoning dreadnought. You have your distracting kind of disadvantage proccing defensive guardian, and then your kind of speedy lightning launcher infiltrator armor that can get you bonuses in stealth as well as doing some range damage, which I also like. What are we going to order for food? Because I got to order before I forget. Let's just get something quick. Would the Dreadnought Flail be one-handed? I believe so, because it says it's like coming off of one of your armor's gauntlets. It says one of them, which I believe makes that a one-handed flail. So, what are we going to order? Sorry. Just want to order some food before I get too distracted and don't order anything, and then all of a sudden it's dinner time and I haven't had anything to eat. What did you say? Is it no hand? It sounds like it's. My assumption is it's like attached on like the back, so you can like swing it around, but you still have full access to your hands. That would be my guess, just based on the wording. But I think it might also be to some degree flavor as well. This segment of the show brought to you by DoorDash. God, I wish, man. That was with Grubhub. Was it Grubhub or DoorDash had a whole thing at PAX East a few years ago. All right. We covered that. Level 5, you get extra attack, so 2 attacks, which is good. You are seemingly to be more of a brawler type artificer, so that tracks. Level 9, armor replication. Now this is I think a new feature. You learn an additional plan for your replicate magic. Oh, okay. Replicate magic item feature. It must be in the armor category. If you replace that plan, you must replace it with another armor plan. In addition, you can create an additional item with that feature. The item must also be in the armor category. Okay, hang on. Let's read that one more time. You learn an additional plan for your replicate magic item feature. This is the one that lets us make magic items. And it must be in the armor category. Okay. If you replace that plan, you must replace it with another armor plan. In addition, you can create an additional item with that feature, and the item must be in the armor category. I do not like how that's worded, but I guess it's just letting us choose to make a different type of armor. But we get this at level 9. So what do we have for replicate magic item at level 9? We only have uncommon armor or +1 armor. So I guess you could make different kinds of uncommon armor, is my understanding of that, rather than just like +1 armor. Or you could be like, oh, this is going to be adamantine armor or mithril armor, or you make a couple of them, I guess. Imagine how you want to imagine it. So no longer separate enchantments for different armor parts. Yeah, they removed infusions entirely. I don't know if you caught that. Infusions aren't in here anywhere, which is a choice. Next up here is level 15 is perfected armor. So this is just boosting your different armor functions here. Dreadnought. So this is our wrecking ball one. The damage die of your armor flail increases to 2d6. So it was a d10. Now it's 2d6. In addition, when you use your giant stature, your reach increases by 10 feet, and you can be huge size or large size, and you gain a fly speed equal to your speed. Okay, So we're basically this is like the war. Uh, I don't know what you would call this. 2d6 from a d10 isn't a huge improvement. Your lower the damage floor is now 2 as opposed to 1, and you've increased the maximum damage by uh 2 over that. I think what you have to do for this is you just double it, right? Maybe make it 2d10. That feels a little bit stronger. Or add 2d6 to it, right? It's d10 plus 2d6. This is your capstone ability as the armorer. Like, you should be able to hit pretty hard. Now, the increased reach is 10 feet, which means now you're sitting with giant stature at a 20-foot reach, which is pretty sizable. And you can be huge size, which has some benefits because wrecking ball is if they're one size smaller than you. So that means if they're large or smaller, you can do the push or pull. And you also now can fly, which is pretty cool. Um, but I think the damage needs to be boosted for the Dreadnought rather than just taking it from a D10 to 2d6. That is a very minimal adjustment, and I don't love that. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? And then we'll go on to the Guardian here. The damage die of your Thunder Gauntlets increases to a D10. They were a D8, now they're a D10. That's kind of weak. In addition, when a huge or smaller creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can take a reaction to magically force that creature to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, a creature is pulled up to 25 feet directly to an unoccupied space. If you pull the target to a space within 5 feet of yourself, you can make a melee weapon attack against that target as a reaction. You can do this reaction intelligence modifier times per long rest. Again, we're doing ranger level shit here. We're going from a D8 to a D10. That's it. From a D8 to a D10, and then we can do a magic pull. But the pull is still based on a strength saving throw, so it's not even a guarantee. And then if we manage to pull them close enough to us, then we can reaction punch them. And that is intelligence modifier times per long rest. That's our capstone. Potentially 1 more damage overall by increasing from a D8 to a D10, and a reactionary pull that is subject to a saving throw. And then if everything aligns, then we might be able to make an attack against them, and we're limited in how many times we can do it. I mean, clearly Dreadnought's the winner as far as the upgrades so far with perfected armor. It just does more stuff. More reach, more size, flight, and extra damage in theory. Okay. And let's go to Infiltrator. The damage die of your lightning lure increases to 2d6. It was a d6. It's doubled. This is the first one where the damage actually feels like it's a sizable jump. We've jumped up doubled the dice to 2d6. Any creature taking lightning damage from your lightning launcher glimmers with magical light until the start of your next turn. The glimmering creature sheds dim light in a 5-foot radius, has disadvantage on attack rolls against you as the light jolts it if it attacks you. Okay, so it's just basically giving them constant disadvantage, and like all your stuff's kind of independent of that. But you can still activate your lightning jolt as well. So you're doing 2d6 damage with your lightning launcher, and you can once a turn activate your lightning jolt to deal an extra d6 damage. So the highest damage potential output actually now is the Infiltrator, supposed to be the lighter weight class, I'm assuming. Like, Dreadnought seems to be the tank. Guardian's supposed to be kind of like the defense mid-range, and the Infiltrator's supposed to feel like, I think, the sneakier, stealthier, quicker one, just based on the name and some of the abilities. But ultimately, the Infiltrator can be the one that does the most damage because of the way the abilities work. So at the very least, I think the standard should be double the dice here at level 15, right? So the Dreadnought should be 2d10, the Guardian should be 2d8, and you can keep the Infiltrator at 2d6. I don't know. Let's go ahead and... All right, by the way, our poll for the Alchemist, 63% of you said you liked the Alchemist subclass. So it was a general net positive. Let's go ahead and start another poll about the Armorer. Do you like the Armorer subclass? Yes. No. Let's see what everybody has to say about that. We'll get that poll out there and see. How does everybody feel about the Armorer? Because I think the Armorer, it's very cool in concept, and I like some of the things it can do. It has 2 attacks, which is nice. But I feel like, me personally, I'm going Dreadnought and I'm never changing because that just feels like the best move overall. I guess we could get a meh option on the nip of the poll next time. We'll do that for you guys. But just a general, I mean, obviously, I feel like most people are just going to go meh on this. So it's the general rule. Do you feel generally positive about it with a yes, or generally negative about it with a no? Is kind of where we're at the moment. So a lot of problems with it, but I like it. I like the direction we're going. We just need some tweaks. Again, I will reiterate again, this is a playtest. So ideally, we'll get at least one more playtest of this based on the feedback that we provide. And maybe that next version will be a significant improvement to the point where everybody feels comfortable executing on that as the final product. You know what I mean? Dreadnought's fly speed is very funny. They're the only one that can fly, and they're the biggest one, which is kind of crazy. Boy, Darkwing, is that not an accurate statement? They still feel 2014 more than 2024. That is very true. I very much agree with that. But yeah, I would imagine that you stand a chance at getting at least, you should, right? I can't say this with certainty, but I'm gonna assume, based on just how things should be, we should at least get one more Unearthed Arcana of this, if not 2. Because remember, all of the original classes for the 2024 Player's Handbook got 3 instances of playtesting before they got the final version we got in the book. So ideally, the Artificer gets at least 1, if not 2 more playtest rounds that we can really help to refine down these abilities. Again, as a sort of first blush thing, it's generally positive, but I don't feel like it's not perfect. It could be better. So I think we're on the way, and we're just going to kind of really lean in heavy to the fact that this is in fact a playtest, and hope that the final version that we gets to have a decent amount of improvement to it. Blame Project Sigil, Twilight Cleric, and Fireball. If there's a design issue, it's likely related to those. Yeah. I love the Artificer class in theory. I will happily play things, but this needs a bit more power and tuning. Yeah, true. All right, let's go on to the Artillerist. Let's see what we've got here. All right, Artillerist. Tool proficiency now allows the Artificer to craft wands faster. Eldritch Cannon now allows each cannon to use the flamethrower, force ballista, and protector options. Explosive Cannon now detonates as a reaction instead of an action, and its damage has been increased. Okay. Tool proficiency. You gain proficiency with woodcarver's tools. If you already have that, you gain a different one. In addition, if you want to craft a magic wand, the amount of time needed to craft the wand is halved. All right, now their spells, they get Shield, Thunderwave, Scorching Ray, Shatter, Fireball, Wind Wall, Ice Storm, Wall of Fire, Cone of Cold, Wall of Force. Another absolute banger of a spell list. Fantastic, right? This, again, you're getting shield, you've got some solid defense, and you've got real solid offensive spells here in Fireball, Shatter, Scorching Ray. You've got Ice Storm, Wall of Fire, you've got Cone of Cold, and then again, just one of the best all-around utility spells is Wall of Force, can just do so much. So, why did they get shield and not the armorer? An excellent question. It feels like the armorer, being the defensive style one, should probably be the one with shield, but either way. Eldritch Cannon. Using woodcarver's tools or smith's tools, you can use a magic action to create a small or tiny Eldritch Cannon in an unoccupied space on a horizontal surface within 5 feet of yourself. So this is, again, your turret class, right? So, you determine its appearance, which includes your choice of legs or wheels. It disappears if it's reduced to 0 hit points or after an hour. You can dismiss it early as a magic action. Once you create a cannon, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or expend a spell slot to create one. You can only have one cannon at a time. So 1 cannon at a time, but you can make one for free and you can always expend a spell slot, any spell slot of any level, to make another one if need be. So, it has an AC of 18, which is pretty solid right out the gate. Its hit points are 5 times your Artificer level, and you can cast Mending Cantrip on it to restore 2d6 hit points to it. Again, reminder, you're getting this access at level 3, so it's starting at level 3 with an AC of 18 and 15 hit points. It is immune to poison and psychic damage. Activate Cannon requires you to be within 60 feet of it. As a bonus action, you order the cannon to use the Flamethrower, Force Ballista, or Protector options. This is a nice bit of quality of life. Instead of having to choose one when you summon it, you can just have it cycle through whatever you'd like it to do. Flamethrower. The cannon exhales fire in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dex saving throw against your spell save DC or take 2d8 fire damage, half on a success. Flammable objects in the cone that aren't being worn or carried start burning. Force Ballista. Make a ranged spell attack out to 120 feet, 2d8 force damage, and it's pushed back 5 feet. Or the Protector. It emits a positive burst. Creatures of your choice within 10 feet get temporary hit points equal to a d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Okay, I like that. We've got a nice AoE cone in the Flamethrower. We've got a long-range shot in the Force Ballista, and a little bit of temp HP survivability with the Protector option. And again, you can choose which one of those you want to do. As a bonus action, you can direct it which option you want it to use, which is nice. All right, level 5, Arcane Firearm. When you finish a long rest, you can use your woodcarver's tools to carve special sigils into a rod, staff, or wand, and thereby turn it into an arcane firearm. The sigils disappear from the object if you carve them in something else. You can use your arcane firearm as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. When you cast an Artificer spell through that firearm, roll a d8 and gain that bonus damage to the number rolled. Again, we do have a lot of powerful spells, things like Fireball and things, so you can roll your Fireball, your 8d6, and then if you used your arcane firearm as the focus, that now as it's 8d6 plus a d8, right? Something like that. Explosive Cannon. When your cannon is reduced to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to command the cannon to detonate if you're within 60 feet of it. Doing so destroys the cannon and forces each creature within 20 feet to make a dex save or take 3d10 force damage or half on a success. Also, at this point, the cannon's damage rolls increase by a d8. Now that says by a d8, which means you're going to be doing 3d8 with the Flamethrower and 3d8 with the Force Ballista. Now, it is only the damage roll, so unfortunately you don't get 2d8 temporary hit points. But at level 9, you now, when it's destroyed, can just use a reaction to say, yep, blow up, and then do a big AoE of 3d10 force damage, half on a success, which is nice. And then just a general overall boost in the damage, which again feels very similar to like, why don't we have something like this or almost identical to this for the Armorer, where they're just like, hey, just add attack on another die at level 9. And then we get to our final feature here at level 15, Fortified Position. You can now have 2 cannons at the same time. You can create 2 of them with the same magic action you use to activate them. And you can activate them both with a bonus action, ordering them to use the same activation option or different one. So if you want to summon 2 cannons and have both use Force Ballista on an enemy, or, you know, however you want to split it up, you could do that. But when you issue the command as a bonus action, you issue it to both of them. Or Shimmering Field Projection. You and your allies have half cover within 10 feet of your Eldritch Cannon. So again, half cover is +2 to AC, +2 to Dexterity saving throws. So that's solid. The only thing I would like to see is that this level 9 ability Firepower also gave the Protector here. The Protector usually gives you temporary hit points equal to a d8 plus your intelligence modifier. I wish that the Firepower thing also bumped up its temporary hit points to 2d8, which I think would be a nice little quality of life there to just keep things all in line across the board. So that was the Artillerist. So honestly, out of the I like the concept of the Dreadnought armor with the big flail. I think Artillerist is currently my favorite. I think it actually has some of the best spells. It has a lot of good utility in that the Eldritch Cannon can do so much. The fact that you get to summon 2, that you can do defensive, you can do AoE, you can do single target. Things get stronger as you level up. You can summon 1 per day for free, or later on 2 per day for free, or just blow through a spell slot to add that. And again, especially if you can like plan out your combat and like set up choke points and stuff. If you're like, all right, we're gonna pull them in here, and you've got your cannon set up, or cannons if you're higher level, you can just unload salvos as people are coming. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's definitely my favorite thus far. Let's go ahead and 76% of you said you liked the armorer. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and see what you guys think about the artillerist. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Do you like the artillerist subclass? Yes. I feel like I have to just do yes, no. I know somebody said, can you just put like a meh option at the end? It would skew the data because everybody else might have said meh about some of the other ones. So we're just going to keep it going forward with just the straight up yes, no. All right. And then we move into our last subclass, the Battlesmith. So what are the updates? Tool proficiency, you can now craft weapons faster, and the Steel Defender has its HP and Force Empowered Rend adjusted. Okay. Let's see. Cannon can move 15 feet. Did it say that? Let's just read it because somebody's mentioned that. Cannons, game statistics. Let's see. Once you create a cannon, you can't do so until you finish a long rest. Yeah, I don't actually see. Where does it say it can move? It doesn't have a speed listed. Oh, wait. Oh, here it is. You can direct the cannon to move up to 15 feet after you activate it. Okay, so yeah, 15 feet. Cool. All right. Battlesmith. You get proficiency with Smith's tools. You can get something else if you already have it. And when you craft an ordinary or magic weapon, the amount of time cut in half. That's fine. How about the spells? Heroism, Shield, Shining Smite, Warding Bond, Aura of Vitality, Conjure Barrage, Aura of Purity, Fire Shield, Banishing Smite, Mass Cure Wounds. Some good ones on there, right? Shield, Mass Cure Wounds. I don't know. I feel like some of these don't really fit the Battlesmith vibe in my mind, but that's that. Let's keep going. Battle ready at level 3. Your combat training and your experiments with the magic have paid off in 2 ways. Arcane empowerment. When you attack with a magic weapon, you can use your intelligence instead of strength or dex. That's what they always had. That's fine. You gain proficiency with martial weapons. Okay, so now you have access to all the weapons, and you can use intelligence in place of your normal attacking stat. You also get the Steel Defender. You determine what it looks like. In combat, the defender acts on its own. Acts during your turn. It can move and take a reaction on its own, but the only action it takes is a dodge action unless you use a bonus action to command it to do something. Restoring and replacing the defender. If it's died within the last hour, you can take a magic action to touch it and expend a spell slot. It returns to life after 1 minute with all its hit points restored. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create a new Steel Defender if you have Smith's tools in hand. All right, here's our Steel Defender. 15 AC, 5 plus 5 times your Artificer level in hit points, a speed of 40, immune to poison, charmed, exhaustion, and poison condition, or poison damage, and then the poison condition. Dark vision out to 60 feet. It adds your proficiency bonus to any ability check or saving throw that it makes. And then it has Force Empowered Rend, which is its main attack. Its bonus is equal to your spell attack modifier. And then it does a D8 plus 2 plus your intelligence modifier and force damage. It has repair 3 times a day. The defender or one construct you can see within 5 feet regain a number of hit points equal to 2d8 plus your intelligence. And then reaction, it has deflect attacks. A creature the defender can see within 5 feet, if it makes an attack roll targeting a different creature, the triggering creature makes the attack roll with disadvantage. It has extra attack at 5, so it's the second one that has a secondary attack. You get Arcane Jolt at level 9. When either you hit a target with an attack roll using a magic weapon or your Steel Defender hits a target, you can channel magical energy through the strike to do one of the following. Destructive Force, just dealing an extra 2d6 force damage, or Restorative Energy, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of the target, and it gets 2d6 hit points. This is intelligence modifier times prolonged rest. Yeah, another class that's better than the Beastmaster. True. No, they got martial proficiency. They do. They have martial weapon proficiency. It's right here for the Battlesmith. So Arcane Jolt, I like when you either hit it or your Steel Defender does. You can choose to either pop on an extra 2d6 force damage or heal somebody within 30 feet 2d6 hit points. But unfortunately, this feature is limited to intelligence modifier times per long rest, which is kind of a bummer. And lastly, at level 15, we have Improved Defender. Your Arcane Jolt ability jumps up to 4d6. The Steel Defender's bonus to its armor class goes up by +2. So again, this was 15. It's now +17. And Improved Deflection. Whenever your attacker defends using its deflect attack, the attacker takes force damage equal to a d4 plus your intelligence modifier. So, let's see. Arcane Jolt here, right, is where you could do extra damage. It was 2d6. We hit level 15, that comes up to 4d6. And then again, normally when you use deflection, it's a creature attacks you. A creature attacks the defender within 5 feet of it, or makes an attack roll targeting a different creature, and you can choose to impose disadvantage. Improved Deflection is you still impose the disadvantage, but the attacker also takes force damage equal to a d4 plus your intelligence modifier. All right, so Artillerist, 89% positive from you guys. That's the highest rating yet. And let's go ahead and close this poll and check your thoughts on the Battlesmith. Start a poll. Do you like the Battlesmith subclass? Yes. No. All right, we got our final poll up here. So I still think Artillerist may win for me for the favorite, but it's definitely a toss-up between Battlesmith and Artillerist for which one I like the most. I always do gravitate towards pet classes and stuff, so I can definitely see the appeal of the Battlesmith because you have the Steel Defender. But yeah, Battlesmith should probably have weapon mastery. I don't disagree with that. Even if it's only 1 or 2 weapons, it should still have it. But we also have some new spells here and some new magic items, it looks like. So, spells. Homunculus Servant. This is a level 2 conjuration spell. Looks like it's for Artificer only, I guess. You can summon a special homunculus in an unoccupied space within range. The creature uses the Homunculus Servant stat block. If you already have a homunculus from this spell, it's replaced by the new one. You determine the homunculus's appearance, such as mechanical-looking bird, winged vials, or miniature. Animate cauldrons, etc. Animate cauldrons. All right, here's the stat block. AC 13, 5+5 per spell level. 20-foot walk speed, 30-foot fly speed. Got some immunities here. It has evasion, which is great. It also adds the spell level to any ability check or saving throw that it might make the spell level of what you cast when you cast the Homunculus Servant. Has Force Strike, which is a melee or ranged attack with a bonus equal to your spell attack modifier. It does a d6 plus the spell's level of force damage. And it also has Channel Magic. You can cast a spell that has a range of touch while the homunculus is within 120 feet of you. In combat, is an ally to you and your allies. It shares your initiative count but takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your commands. No action required by you. If you don't issue any, it takes the dodge action. So what's really interesting is this just gets to attack. And it is no command. It's just like any other kind of summon spell. It just works. You just summon the Homunculus Servant, and then it can just attack on your turn. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it is able to just attack with you don't have to use your bonus action to do it. You can just command it. Oh, and it is a 1-hour casting time or a ritual. So you can actually summon the Homunculus Servant as a ritual without actually needing to spend a spell slot at all. So anybody, here's the other thing, anybody can have the homunculus. So even the Battlesmith, who already has the Steel Defender, could also summon a homunculus. So you could have a homunculus and a Steel Defender on your team. So you have double these things. And if you have some way to get access to Find Familiar, you could have all 3. Also, The Create Homunculus spell, I'm pretty sure, is a level 6 spell. So Homunculus Servant is a much more approachable spell that'll be much more accessible to a lot of people earlier on. So I like that. That is the only new spell in this. Oops. Hang on one sec. I'm getting a phone call. Stand by. Well, that was something. Um, man, way to go, freaking whatever this is, Grubhub. Really screwed that up. Put in my address. Um, it delivered it to it didn't grab the right address, which is awesome. So that sucks for me. Oh well. Anyway, continuing on with this story, we have some new magic items. It says the magic items presented here appeared as Artificer infusions in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. As magic items, they can be recreated with an Artificer's replicate magic item feature. So these once were infusions. The infusions are no more. There are no longer infusions for the Artificer in 2024, so that's not an option anymore. So they basically took some of those and just turned them into magic items. So, once again, we have, by the way, the Battlesmith is winning as well. So it says the following infusions from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything have been replaced with other options. Instead of the enhanced arcane focus infusion, an artificer who can reuse a replicate magic item to make a +1 wand of the War Mage. Instead of the enhanced defense infusion, an artificer can use the replicate magic item to make a +1 armor or +1 shield. Instead of the enhanced weapon infusion, an artificer can use make the +1 weapon with the replicate magic item. And the homunculus service infusion is replaced by a spell of the same name. In addition, the mind sharpener infusion is now a magic ring rather than an infusion that can be applied to armor or robes. So, Boots of the Winding Path are an uncommon requiring attunement magic items. While wearing these boots, you can take a bonus action to teleport up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You must have occupied that space at some point during the current turn. So there you go. You have 15-foot teleport boots. Helm of Awareness. Uncommon requires attunement. You have advantage on initiative rolls. Mind Sharpener. Uncommon ring requires attunement. 4 charges. When you fail a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration, you can take a reaction and expend one of the item's charges to succeed instead. The item regains a D4 charges daily at dawn. So again, fail a Constitution saving throw, use a reaction to succeed. So just basically allowing you to potentially not have to worry very much about your concentration checks at all. Radiant Weapon, which is any simple or martial weapon, requires attunement. It is a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. While holding it, you can take a bonus action to cause it to shed bright light in a 30-foot radius, dim light in an additional 30 feet. It also has 4 charges. You can take a reaction immediately after being hit by an attack roll to expend one of the weapon's charges to force the attacker to make a con save, DC 15. If they fail, they are blinded until the end of their next turn, and you regain a D4 charges daily at dawn. Repeating Shot, again, any simple or martial weapon with the ammunition property. It's uncommon, requires attunement. This magic weapon has a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, and ignores the loading property, which is huge for things like crossbows. If the weapon lacks ammunition, it produces its own, automatically creating 1 piece of magic ammunition when the wielder makes a ranged attack with it. The ammunition created by this weapon vanishes the instant after it hits a target. Repulsion Shield. This is an uncommon. This is the first non-attunement one here. +1 AC. While it has 4 charges. While holding it, you can take a reaction to immediately after being hit with a melee attack to expend a charge to push the attacker 15 feet away. Gets a D4 charges back daily at dawn. We have the Returning Weapon. Again, a non-attunement uncommon weapon. +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, and it returns to your hand immediately after used to make a ranged attack rolls. Mjolnir style. Spell Refueling Ring. While wearing this ring, you can recover 1 expended spell slot as a bonus action. I should remember, this is an attunement as well. You can recover 1 expended spell slot as a bonus action. The recovered slot can be a level 3 or lower. Once used, the ring cannot be used again until the next dawn. So that is the entirety of the Unearthed Arcana 2024 Artificer. For those of you asking, again, I saw a bunch of people asking, like, have we gone over how infusions work? The answer is they don't, because there are none. So you have, I'd say overall, I like the concept of where we're going with this. I still don't love this, though. I'm not really sure if it's 2014 or 2024, which one is ultimately better. I see merits to both. I see simplicity with the 2024 Artificer and the fact that we have removed infusions and made things a little bit easier to understand. Also, the fact that the infusions are now, like most of those have become magic items that you can choose means that other characters can also just get access to those. But they can be replicated with your replicate magic item feature. Some options seem better than others, right? I mean, the Alchemist does still kind of feel like it's more on the weaker side, but it's got some improvements. Everything has like slight tweaks, but I think it could overall use a second pass with just general boosting kind of improvements there. And then again, we have the Homunculus is a spell, which I do actually think I like that one the best, is that the Homunculus is a spell so everybody can have access to one. But yeah, agreeing with the chat, I understand getting rid of infusions because infusions are just another thing to track. So I think it's the best call overall. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm very middle of the road on the 2024 Artificer. It seems to be, I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of you are in it, feel similarly about that. Well, I will admit, the infusions were definitely inconvenient for D&D Beyond. That is very true. Infusions basically never worked, and they still don't work from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, as far as I can tell. So, which is the Homunculus has 2 little HP. What does it have? 5 + 5 per spell level. So you cast it at level 2, so the Homunculus is starting at 15 hit points. It's not the worst. I mean, that could tank a hit, but you could always upcast it if you wanted to. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty middle of the road on it. There's a much better 2024 Artificer on the DM's Guild. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Someone plays an Artificer, particularly an Alchemist. It's not bad, but the level 20 did get nerfed. Yeah. Now
It's been a minute since we've done that.
There is a 31-minute video on the Artificer, which I do want to watch and review with all of you. The only downside of that is I do have an entire whole meal sitting for me at a diner because I put in my address and I didn't realize that Grubhub picked the diner. So how weird is it to have food from not the diner delivered to the diner and it's just kind of sitting there waiting for me? So I kind of want to go pick that up before they get pissed that there's just a bunch of food from some other place just sitting on the counter, which is a wild thing for me. So I may end up watching this video as a separate thing. Like I wanted to do it live, but I may end up just watching it after the fact and commenting on it because we have this video here where we've done the full review. So, and we're hearing from a lot of you that there isn't like a huge, like a lot of stuff unveiled in this video. But yeah, like I said, it is a good start. Tim Jensen, you're good point, but some things need to be tweaked. The capstone got nerfed too hard. Alchemist, the experimentalist, need to be reworked. Yeah. So it needs some help. I think we can all agree, but it's going to, I hope that it's going to get a second, maybe even a third pass to be improved overall. Also, I may be back tonight with some form of a live stream. By the way, I'll post pictures, but I did just buy a new truck. Like, I haven't actually, I'll share this with all of you guys. I have never owned a new car before. I've always owned like used cars. So for the first time ever this past weekend, I went out and bought myself a brand new truck. Like it has 100 miles on it now that's from me just driving it around. So, it's exciting, but also nerve wracking, right? You know, having a whole brand new car to have to deal with paying off and stuff like that. But that being said, it has inspired me to work on a bunch of stuff. And I downloaded, I downloaded Marvel Rivals. Haven't played that yet, but I just want to give that a shot. Maybe do some gaming stuff. And more importantly, I downloaded and installed crowd control for Baldur's Gate 3. So you guys can, if you want, we could probably do this over on Twitch. I don't know if it'll work on YouTube, but I can play Baldur's Gate 3. And if you guys want, you can really just start really fucking with me in Baldur's Gate by increasing or decreasing, reputation, adding bless or fireballs or monsters or whatever to the game through the crowd control aspect of it to just really have one crazy wild concept of a Baldur's Gate 3 stream, which would be fun too because I installed a whole bunch of mods to add like all 2024 into Baldur's Gate 3, so we could do that and then just figure out a bunch of stuff that we're gonna do and then just have you guys just totally fuck with it if you want, which is really funny to me. But yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll post a picture of the truck so people can see. And then yeah, I have some unboxings too. I actually have what do I don't even think these are out yet. I have the WizKids Return of the Dragons. This is their updated version of the Tyranny of Dragons minis. I have a brick of those to unbox. And somewhere around here, there's a they're over here under a bunch of books. I have a brick of 8 of I wish the truck was orange. Man, that's going to be on a purely like viewer supported thing because they didn't have orange, unfortunately. So it's blue. But I think it looks really good. I love to paint it orange, but I looked up the prices of painting like a vehicle. It's like $7,000, I think, to get probably more than that to get something painted. So if you guys really want my truck to be orange, well, maybe you guys can make it happen, but I don't know. Although maybe wrapping it might be cheaper, right? Going with the wrap. I really would love it for it to be orange. And I've done vehicle painting before. Like I had an old truck years and years ago that got pretty badly damaged in an accident, and I replaced all the fenders and I bondoed all the fiberglass and I did the whole painting myself. That was fun, but this is a brand new truck. I'd like to have, if I'm going to have it painted, I want it done professionally, but I did not realize it was so much money. So maybe wrapping is the way to go. Have somebody wrap it in like an orange. Well, I also want to get it like I want to have the logo on it and stuff, which obviously would be better if it was orange. But I love to have Nerd Immersion on it because realistically, I love to find a way that I could just have it be just constant marketing. So maybe I could write the truck off on my taxes for the business side of things, which would also be very nice to just cut my taxable income by the price of a brand new F-150. But still, um, so yeah, I'll take, like I said, I'll take some pictures and I'll throw it up here for you guys to check it out. But I also want to just get more into doing some live streaming in general, just like back on. Like I'm playing in a Tyranny of Dragons campaign. I did that last night, and I'm playing in the Vecna Eve of Ruin game on Thursdays, and I'm running a game on Wednesday. But I actually want to get to the point where I'm actually also streaming those games on my channel on Wednesday and Thursday. And we might be even doing dual streams where we stream to YouTube as well as Twitch at the same time, so you guys can see it on wherever you go. Um, but um, we'll see. I want to get into that, and I'd love to just also get into some fun gaming style streams aside from, like, obviously I love Q&A stuff that's never going to change. I love chatting with all of you guys, and we could do Q&A while we play games. But there's a bunch of games that I haven't played through, or games that I'm super nostalgic for, that I love to play through with an audience, like go back and hit up some of my favorites. Like, I'd love to play Ocarina of Time, my favorite game of all time, on stream with all of you, just for the hell of it, or like Super Mario RPG or Symphony of the Night, or any of these games that I have like a deep fondness for, to just for the hell of it play through it with everybody hanging out, or maybe even get into some stuff where we could do playing along with viewers, possibly, right? Like get you guys in a squad and go play Destiny, or give Marvel Rivals a tryout or something like that, whatever. I think that could be a lot of fun, just to add some other content. I love D&D, and I'm never going to stop making content about RPGs and stuff like that. But, you know, gaming related streams, it's easier to get more people in, and we could pull in another side of the audience as well, other parts of the internet that aren't just TTRPG focused. So, if the truck was white, a big sticker or something would work well. Yeah, I was looking at black. I was looking at white for the truck colors, but I just like the look of the blue so much. I couldn't just say no to that. Um, there is a D&D Beyond video out about the Artificer. It's about 30 minutes long. There is also a video that Griffin's Saddlebag part 2 is out on there as well. So we're going to be taking a look at Griffin's Saddlebag stuff, because like I looked at it when it first came out, but I haven't looked at it recently. So we might even do, who knows, maybe we'll do a live stream just checking out Griffin's Saddlebag, and just like maybe you guys can comment like what your favorite items are. Maybe we can extrapolate a top 10 out of a live stream, and then just make a standalone top 10 video of Griffin's Saddlebag book 2 options. Um so anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching and coming and hanging out with me here in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. I'm going to go run and pick up my food before it either gets cold or gets taken. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll hopefully catch you back here later tonight for some sort of a live stream. We'll see what it ends up being. And until then, I thank you all so much for watching.